So in this video, I'm going to explain why it is vital for you as a business owner or an expert with a podcast to have an end game for your podcast. Now, when I say end game, what exactly do I mean and why should you care? Look, after interviewing and coaching 400 plus podcasts over the last 6 years and speaking to tens of thousands at this point, it's very clear to me that there's a big difference between the podcasters who are having success growing month after month with the right systems, with the right support and the right strategies in place that allows them to break past and create a massive gap between the average podcaster and the elite podcasters, the podcasters who are growing, who have a massive audience, who have major authority in their space and who are earning 6-7 figures per year with their show. That's right. There are podcasters out there, business owners, experts like yourself, who are earning 6-7 figures per year with their show. And one thing I've come to notice is the biggest difference is the fact that the podcasters making 6 and 7 figures finally made the decision to go pro. And once they made the decision to go pro with their podcast, they also got the clarity of what does the end game look like for them. So when I say end game, what does that mean? And when I say go pro, what does that mean? Going pro means being fully committed to achieving your end goal with the show. Going pro means going from being okay with barely reaching any listeners, posting content every single day, but really just wasting your time because you're not actually growing, you're not making the impact that you want, and certainly not having the growth you want from your show. They go from being okay, staying stagnant with their show, posting content that's great, but ultimately then feeling invisible, feeling like, is this even worth it? To a place where they're actually growing month after month, where they're reaching their potential, reaching more listeners, expanding and becoming true authorities in their space. Going pro means they made the decision to finally get a strategy in place to grow their podcast and the right support system in place to grow their podcast. And why this is so important is because most podcasters, the average podcaster, never actually go pro. They stay working on by themselves, trying to figure things out. They spend years in their podcast and they're like, just not really that bothered the fact that a show isn't growing and monetizing, or they're not bothered enough to invest to get the right support and systems and strategies in place in order to take their show to their next level. They kind of just have it be this vanity metric thing that they do. Some people know about it, but they upload content or pay their producer to upload their content, but they don't really care. As I don't know, it's this weird thing where they're just on autopilot. Now, if that's you, I want you to be aware that you can carry on doing that, but you haven't gone pro. And as a business owner, to me personally, I think is a massive waste of time and a massive waste of your potential to keep investing time into a show where you don't have things set up to actually grow and monetize. Like, why? Why even continue doing it? Why not invest that time into something else? And you might say you enjoy, which is fine, but ultimately, if you just enjoy it, you can still enjoy it, and our clients still enjoy their podcast, but they're enjoying their podcast and they're also growing and they're also making money. So why couldn't you? And it's because you haven't gone pro. The podcasters who do go pro, what happens is they not only invest in right mentorship and get the right strategy in place, but they get very clear as to what is their goal for the show. What do they want to accomplish? Not, I want to just grow an audience. It's like, that's level one. Then layer two is I want to grow an audience so I can become an authority in my space. So I become a recognized leading expert in my space. That's level two. And then level three is, okay, I want more listeners and become the authority in my space so that I can start attracting dream clients into my business. Clients that are pre-sold, warm, and clients that pay me good money to work with me one-on-one. I don't want to keep relying on referrals. I don't want to keep posting on social media, even though I hate social media. I want to have the podcast become a great functioning marketing engine for my business. If I'm already spending all of this time, effort, energy, resources on the podcast to produce it, I want the podcast to now start paying me back. They're clear as far as end goal for them. Now, for different people, that end goal might be something different. It might be to get authority so they can attract more speaking gigs and speaking engagements. Like one of our clients, David, who actually landed a $12,000 speaking engagement because he had the right systems in place that allowed him to be found by these companies. And he landed a $12,000 keynote speaking engagement and has consistently landed those opportunities because he went pro and got clear on his end goal. Now, end game can also look like you selling online courses that actually sell on autopilot and give you more passive income because you've built up an audience who want exactly what you offer. End game can mean building up the podcast to the point of making $10, $20, $30,000 plus per month and being able to have more location freedom. Maybe you're currently working in a in-person business. You have an in-person role that you're doing and you constantly have to shop for your work. End game can mean putting yourself in a position where you can actually travel more freely and have the ability to interview people all around the world and connect with those people because you now have the funds from the podcast to be able to do that and accomplish that. End game might mean you being an expert who's currently working in a corporate role that you actually completely hate, that you've hated for quite some time, that no longer feels aligned with you, and being able to generate more income from the podcast allows you to actually step away from that, let go of that, and put your full focus on what you love doing, which is actually recording the content, making an impact. All that to say that an end game can look totally different depending on who you are and what you specifically want from the podcast. But you see, none of that matters. And there's been zero chance in times I've seen that being accomplished when the business owner or expert doesn't decide to go pro. For you, you might honestly not know what that is. You might be in a spot right now where you haven't maybe even thought about what the end goal actually is. And I can tell you now that if you don't have that clarity, is because you haven't decided to go pro. But once you decide to actually go pro with your podcast and make the decision that you are no longer willing to settle for the level you're playing at, and I hope this doesn't come off as arrogant. It's just I've seen a lot of podcasters out there basically die off, get burnt out because like you get to a point where it's like, why am I just doing this thing that isn't really growing, that's not really progressing? Like I enjoy this as a hobby thing, but as a business owner, as an expert, you want to be leveraged with your time. You want to ensure that you're not investing all of this energy into something that isn't optimized to get you more out of it. If you're really trying to make impact, if you're really trying to reach more people, but you're not taking the actions that will help you accomplish making more impact, reaching more people, and making sure your time is properly leveraged, you're going to just keep in the same spot. But again, you can only change that once you decide to go pro. So for you, through this weekend, maybe this evening, maybe through today, have a think about it. Like, why have you continued doing the podcast? What do you actually want to accomplish with the show? What is the end goal for you? And are you really going to accomplish all the things you want to accomplish with your show if you continue to operate the way you have been operating with your podcast over the last 6 months, over the last year, over the last 2 years? What pieces you need to put in place in order to make that dream come true? Because if you don't put those pieces in place, if you don't have that tough conversation with yourself, you'll continue to get more of what you've got now. And I know after speaking with thousands of podcasts and helping hundreds of podcasters grow and get results, there's a big, pardon my French, fucking difference between those who really find success with their show and make 6 and 7 figures and build authority in their space and make real impact, and those who settle for playing small, investing years of their life into a product that could have been something great, but because they never decided to go pro and have the right systems, strategy, and support in place, they eventually just die off, invisible, like a fart in the wind to never really reach their full potential. Look, I'm sharing this again as a Friday, once again in Lisbon, and I'm ending the week off to hopefully jolt you, but also to inspire you to know that it is possible for you to do it. It is worth it, but you have to decide whether or not this is something you're serious about, or if this is something that's just a fun hobby that you want to do and you don't really care for growth, you don't really care for monetize. I'm not fussed either way. I'm good either way, but hopefully this can help change some behavior. But hopefully this can trigger something in you and change and make a change in your behavior so you can start getting way more from your podcast. With that being said, I hope you have honestly the most amazing rest of your day. I wish you an amazing weekend. Me and Ty have been head down helping podcasters grow, but again, we're literally living with each other. He's next door, currently onboarding a new client into the Get More Listens Academy. And this is what we do. We live, breathe, and I was going to say live, breathe, and shit this, but that's a bit too vulgar. We do this every single day, and we hope to inspire more people, more business owners to take their show seriously and take it to that next level. All right. Peace.